Hello and welcome to The Hero Spouse. I'm Kendra Ruth, here to answer one of your questions about marriage and midlife crisis. Today we have Katrina. Katrina's bomb drop is March 1st of 2022 and her date of marriage is 2010. She is not yet familiar with contact types or energy level terms. She says, my husband left about 2 months she's left home. I think she means after about 2 months of coming and going after his bomb drop. He has now stopped all communication in the last 4 months or so. Do you recommend getting in touch with him via messages or calls, knowing full well he won't reply or pick up calls, or should I leave him to contact me? We have no children and no other reason to use smart contact, so in his eyes, there's no reason to maintain contact. I don't know where he lives now or how he's doing. Apart from being kind to myself and getting support and help for the crisis he has now thrown me into, what else can I do? My friend accused me of sitting like a lemon doing nothing when I should be issuing ultimatums and deadlines, and this has made me feel that I'm not doing enough. Do they know and understand what they're doing to their spouse whilst in the middle of their midlife crisis? If they do, will their guilt prevent them from making contact? What would it help if someone else tried to get through to him? First, no on that last question. It's not going to help if someone else tried to get through to him because it's a midlife. Supposing it is a midlife crisis, no. So you're asking, should there be an intervention? No, that's not going to work when it's a midlife crisis. Midlife crisis, 3 to upwards of 7 years, they have to be at that ready point where they're ready. And even at the point where it starts to get through to them, that could be, say, a liminality. The crisis, that could be halfway through. It could be further along than that. But it doesn't mean now you see the turnaround and progress goes faster. It's still a few years likely. If they do they understand what they're doing? Sometimes. Bits and pieces. They understand, they recognize the destruction, and they deny the destruction. Sometimes they convince themselves. Sometimes others convince them. They convince themselves of their revised history. And guilt can prevent them from making contact, or it can cause them to continue making contact. So that works both ways. Depends on what type of person he is and how he handles his guilt. For the most part, I do see that MLCers are overwhelmed with guilt and shame of what they're doing. But they can cover that up. The running, the avoidance, the escape and avoid, they're attempting to cover up that so they don't feel that. They don't want to feel those things. But then they're running away from them and they're creating a worse situation. So the main thing is, should you rely on smart contact to actually initiate contact? Or should you be issuing ultimatums as well with that contact and deadlines? First thing, I don't agree with your friend about ultimatums. Absolutely not. Ultimatums are something you do when, first thing, you're prepared for them to choose the side that you don't want them to on the ultimatum. Especially this early in, they will choose that side. Regardless, they'll choose it. And if they don't, it's just part of mixed messages coming back and forth. Oh, you made me choose. And then they go away again 2 weeks later or 2 months later. So I don't recommend ultimatums. Now, ultimatums at the end, first thing, when you are finally done and you decide this is it. And that works better with somebody who's been cake eating and coming back and forth rather than somebody who could just cut off contact. Ultimatums, is that the same? That's probably the same as deadlines. The only time you'd issue deadlines on that is, you know what, we have divorce papers in and we really need to get these done. That could be part of how you put your smart contact in, but I'd rather smart contact be about things that aren't about divorce or separation. So you don't have children together. I didn't have children with Chuck either, but Chuck was a clingy boomerang. He didn't cut off contact for 4 months at all. And he initiated contact, so I didn't need to worry. If I initiated it, I was probably really returning a call, so I was in a response to him. I would try and work on some reasons for smart contact, and don't do it often. Each situation has each person has a limit. And so if he hasn't contacted you and you've had no contact with him for 4 months, and that's from neither of you, then maybe you need to test the waters first thing that he's not going to contact. But let's say some people can contact weekly, and some people can contact monthly, and some people every other month. Those are big differences, but one MLCer will handle the weekly better and invite it even, or at least be responsive to it. So see if there's something he will respond to. But in the meantime, for smart contact, you could finally just say, hi, I was just thinking about you and wondered and wanted to see if you're doing okay. That's our last ditch kind of effort when we don't have any reason to do it, just to check in. If he's got a birthday, send him a card, but it needs to be neutral. And it goes with the, I was thinking of you on your birthday. And I just wanted to let you know that I just want to let you know I was thinking of you on your birthday. I hope you're doing okay. It's not anything about the us. It's just, you're just putting a feeler out to let him know that you still care about him. And you didn't say care about him in an intimate kind of a way. That's neutral. You can do it at holidays and things. I would be careful on anniversaries, unless he responded to or initiated the contact to you. I do think you should be doing something, but something isn't very much. Has he ever, in those 4 months since he stopped, responded to anything? The other thing is, you might realize that, or if you don't know, that he is seeing somebody. Now, has he stopped contacting you because he's seeing that person and that person has interfered? Said, hey, you can't contact her. Is there some control issues on the other side? We don't know at all. That could not be, but that could be going on. So sometimes he's becoming an off and on or a vanisher. Or at this early stage, since everything is new, we really can't say that he doesn't have an alienator who is controlling it and saying, hey, you need to stop doing that and you need to stop calling her. And so sometimes the contact type that we see them as is really a control issue from the other person, which is why I suggest that just putting those neutral ones out, and if he doesn't respond, maybe he's not responding because he's not getting your messages. Sometimes that other person has full control over the devices and the accounts and makes sure they aren't seen. I don't want that to get any hopes up and say that's what's going on. It's not every situation, but alienators do kind of have that kind of control because they have a fear of the spouse. Okay? Well, I hope this was helpful, and I'll see everybody in the next question.